never thought I'd be the girl whose heart shattered behind a closed door. That morning, I woke up smiling. It was our anniversary, 3 years with Daniel, the man who once said my laugh was his favorite sound. I had spent all night putting together a little surprise for him, a handmade photo album, memories from our road trips, concerts, lazy Sundays. I even included a note on the last page. "You're still my favorite chapter." Cheesy, maybe, but it was ours. I bought his favorite dark roast coffee and a blueberry muffin from the bakery down the street. Then I rushed over to his apartment. The gift bag swinging by my side felt like a pocket full of sunshine. I didn't call, I wanted it to be perfect, just me, standing at his door, glowing with love. But as I got closer, I heard it. A soft giggle. I froze. It wasn't Daniel's voice I heard first, it was hers. My sister, Elena. The same girl who helped me plan our first anniversary. The same girl who held me while I cried over a silly fight with Daniel. Her laugh, it was coming from inside his apartment. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob. But I didn't open it yet. I leaned in. I had to be wrong, I had to be. Then came his voice. "Come here," he whispered, followed by a noise I'll never forget. A kiss. A moan. Then her voice, sharp, low, dangerous. "You're lucky she's so easy to fool." I couldn't breathe. My fingers dug into the gift bag handles. My chest ached, but I needed to see. I needed to know. I pushed the door open an inch, just enough. She was wrapped around him. His shirt was halfway off. Her lipstick, the one I loaned her last week, smeared across his neck. And then she whispered again. "She thinks you're still in love with her. But you and I both know you've already moved on." I stepped back before the door creaked. My heart was screaming, but I made no sound. I walked down the stairs like a ghost, the gift still in my hand, the coffee now cold. And I realized something as I reached the street. They betrayed me in the bed. But what broke me happened in a whisper. I walked for blocks. I didn't know where I was going, I just needed to move. To escape the images, now burning into my memory. Every step felt like dragging a broken version of myself down the pavement. I ended up in the park, where Daniel first told me he loved me. It was quiet, a few kids played on the swings. Birds chirped like nothing had happened. I sat on the same bench we had once shared. The one where he said, "I'm never letting you go." What a lie, what a sweet, venom-laced lie. The gift bag was still in my hand. I looked down at it, the coffee had leaked, leaving a brown stain on the side of the paper. The photo album peeked out, my handwriting. The note, our smiles frozen in time. I should have thrown it away. But I couldn't, not yet. That wasn't just a gift. It was a goodbye I didn't know I was writing. My phone buzzed. It was Elena. "Hey, are you okay? You left something at Daniel's." Left something? You mean my soul, my trust, my sanity? I didn't respond. I stared at the message like it might rearrange itself into an apology. But it didn't. Then a second text popped up, from Daniel. "Babe, we need to talk. It's not what you think." I laughed out loud, in that broken, ironic way people do when they've reached the edge. Not what I think, I heard it, I saw it, I felt it. But maybe the cruelest part. Even then, even after it all, a small, stupid part of me still wanted him to choose me. That night, I didn't go home. I went somewhere I hadn't been in years. Back to the coffee shop I used to work at before I met Daniel. And that's where he found me. Jake, the boy I once called almost. Jake, the name alone brought back 100 what-ifs. He walked in like time hadn't touched him, same crooked smile, same quiet eyes that always seemed to see right through me. He stopped just inside the doorway, holding a takeout cup, scanning the room like he was looking for something, or someone, and when his eyes landed on me, sitting in the corner booth with tear-blurred eyes and coffee-stained fingers, he didn't hesitate, he came straight over. "Hey," he said softly, sliding into the seat across from me like it hadn't been 3 years since we last spoke. I couldn't speak, my throat burned, so I just stared at him, trying not to cry again. "You look like someone just broke your favorite mug," he added, trying to lighten the moment. I cracked a laugh barely. Worse, they shattered the whole damn kitchen. He didn't press me for details. He just reached across the table and gently took the gift bag from my hands. He pulled out the photo album and flipped through it slowly, then looked up at me. "Whoever did this to you doesn't deserve you." That's when the tears came again. But this time, they didn't hurt as much. Jake didn't ask questions, he just sat with me, listened to the silence between my words, and gave me something I hadn't felt in days, peace. Then he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded receipt. "Remember this." I took it, confused. It was from 3 years ago. 2 coffees, 1 cookie. My handwriting scrawled on the back, "You'll always be my almost." Jake smiled. "Maybe it's time we change that." And just like that, in the middle of the storm, Daniel and Alina left behind. A soft breeze of something new began to stir. Didn't sleep that night, not because I was crying, those tears had dried hours ago, but because my mind wouldn't stop racing. Jake had dropped me off at my apartment after we walked around the block for what felt like forever. He didn't try to kiss me, he didn't ask for anything. He just held my hand when it shook and said, "You don't need to figure it all out tonight." But the silence at home was deafening. The photo album was still sitting on my kitchen table, right beside the unopened wine, and the single candle I had planned to light for our anniversary dinner. At 2:12 a.m., Daniel texted again. "I messed up, please just talk to me." Followed by, "It wasn't planned, it just happened. I was drunk, she was there." My stomach turned. Then Alina, "You don't get to play the victim. You were never enough for him, I just proved it." That one hit different. It wasn't a confession. It was a knife, sharpened and delivered straight to the heart. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I felt something rise in me, not sadness, not heartbreak. Anger. I threw on my jacket, grabbed the wine bottle, and drove, not to Daniel's, not to Alina's, to Jake's. He opened the door like he'd been expecting me. "I shouldn't be here," I said. He leaned against the doorway, studying me like I was a puzzle he wanted to solve slowly. "But you are." I stepped inside, and for the first time in days, I didn't feel lost. I felt wanted. I woke up the next morning wrapped in warmth, not just from the blanket Jake had thrown over me while I dozed off on his couch, but from something deeper: safety, softness, that rare feeling you get when someone sees your scars and doesn't flinch. He was already in the kitchen when I stirred, making coffee like he used to at the cafe we both worked in all those years ago. "You snore," he teased without turning around. "I do not," I mumbled, rubbing my eyes. "You do, it's kind of cute though, like an angry kitten." I laughed, and for a second, the world didn't feel so broken. But the peace didn't last long, because by noon, my phone exploded. First Daniel, then Alina, then somehow my mother. Apparently, Alina had gone crying to her, spinning some half-baked story about how I was the one who let Daniel drift away. And she had only comforted him when I wasn't around. Like betrayal was just charity work now. Then Daniel left a voicemail. "I made a mistake, I never stopped loving you." She meant nothing. "Please, can we meet?" I deleted it. But Jake noticed the shift in me. I guess I went quiet, my eyes clouded over. "You don't owe them anything," he said, gently sliding a cup of coffee toward me. "But you do owe yourself something." I stared into the cup. Like what? Like closure, like a new start. Like knowing you're still worth loving, even after someone else forgets how to. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just a rebound. Jake had always been the calm in my chaos. I just never let myself fall before. But maybe it was time. Maybe it was time they saw what losing me really looked like. I didn't plan it. I didn't plan on seeing them again. Especially not together. But the universe or fate, or cruel irony, had other plans. It was Saturday afternoon. I had gone to the bookstore downtown to clear my head. Maybe pick up something to read that wasn't about betrayal or heartbreak. I was flipping through a poetry book when I heard a familiar laugh. Her laugh. It was light, sweet, and fake. The same laugh she used when she wanted something. I turned slowly, and there they were. Daniel and Alina. Hand in hand. In public. Like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't existed. Like I hadn't held the door handle just days ago. Listening to her whisper, "You were always better than her," as my heart shattered in real time. I froze. But they saw me. Daniel's face went pale, his hand dropping hers like it burned him. Alina smirked, like she wanted this. "Oh," she said with a tilted head, "didn't expect to see you out already." I took one slow step toward them, holding her gaze. "Why? Thought I'd be in bed crying over a man who can't even keep his lies straight." Daniel stepped in. "Can we talk, just us, please?" No, my voice surprised even me. It didn't shake. "There's nothing left to say. You made your choice, and now I've made mine." Alina rolled her eyes. "So what? You're running back to that barista boy from your past, Jake." I smiled genuinely. "Yes, and you know what the difference is. He didn't have to betray me to realize I was enough." Daniel reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "You lost the best version of me when you chose her," I said. "And she's only standing beside you because she never learned how to shine without stealing someone else's light." Then I turned and walked out, head high, spine straight, heart steady. And outside, waiting near the corner, was Jake, hands in his pockets, smile in his eyes. Like maybe he knew I'd come back stronger. Maybe I was never broken. Maybe I was just finally free. Jake didn't say anything when I walked up to him. He didn't ask what happened in the bookstore, or if I was okay. He just looked at me, really looked at me, like he could already feel the weight I had left behind on the other side of that glass door. And without a word, he opened his arms. I stepped into them like I belonged there. And maybe I did. We walked through the park in silence, the kind that doesn't feel empty, the kind where every step feels like a choice. A step away from pain, a step toward something new. Jake stopped under the big oak tree near the pond, the same spot we used to sit in after late shifts at the coffee shop. You ever think, he began softly, that maybe we weren't meant to work back then, because we were supposed to be ready for this? I looked up at him, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel scared of being vulnerable. I think, I said slowly, that sometimes we fall in love with the wrong people just to recognize the right ones. He reached up and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. His fingers brushed my cheek, and I leaned into it without hesitation. Jake kissed me then, not like he was trying to erase the past, but like he was offering me a brand new beginning. It was gentle, real, the kind of kiss that tells you I see you, I've always seen you. And in that moment, all the pain, all the betrayal, all the whispers behind closed doors, they didn't disappear. But they didn't own me anymore. Because I had someone now who didn't just want to hold me. He wanted to heal with me. It had been 3 peaceful weeks. 3 weeks of slow mornings, shared coffee, quiet walks, and stolen kisses with Jake that made my heart believe in softness again. We didn't rush it. There were still moments when I flinched at my own thoughts, when shadows of Daniel and Alina whispered through my mind. But every time, Jake pulled me back with the way he looked at me, like I was worth the wait. And then, just when I started to feel whole again, the past knocked on my door. Literally, I opened it, expecting maybe a package. Instead, it was Alina. Her makeup was smudged, her eyes red and wild. She looked nothing like the girl who smirked at me in the bookstore. She looked broken. I stood frozen. Why are you here? She didn't speak at first, just handed me a crumpled envelope. What is this? She swallowed hard. Something you need to see. Before you trust him completely. My heart dropped. Jake. She nodded. It's not what you think, but it's close enough. I stared at the envelope in my hand. I didn't want to open it. I didn't want anything from her. But curiosity is cruel when your heart's been betrayed before. When I finally tore it open, a single photo slid out. It was old, faded. Jake and Daniel, standing together at a beach party, smiling, arms around each other. On the back, a note in Daniel's handwriting. The plan's working, she'll never see it coming. I forgot how to breathe. Alina wiped her eyes. I didn't come here to fight. I came here because I lost everything playing his game. Don't let him use you too. And just like that, the man I thought was saving me might have been part of the setup all along. I stood there for a long time. Alina was gone before I even looked up. The photo felt like a flame in my hand, burning, accusing, unraveling every safe moment I'd rebuilt with Jake. My pulse roared in my ears as I stared at the handwriting. The plan's working, she'll never see it coming. It couldn't be real, Jake wouldn't, he couldn't. But hadn't I thought the same thing about Daniel? I waited until evening. Jake had texted, asking if I wanted dinner. I didn't reply. Instead, I drove to his place. The photo folded in my palm, my thoughts screaming louder with every turn of the wheel. When he opened the door, he smiled. Like always. That smile used to calm me. Now it scared me. Hey, he said, stepping aside. Everything okay? I walked in without answering, turned around, held up the photo. His smile faded. Where did you get that? He asked, voice low. Does it matter? I snapped. Tell me what this is. And don't lie. I've had enough lies for a lifetime. He stared at the photo, jaw tight. It's not what you think. That's what Daniel said, and Alina. Everyone who's ever betrayed me seems to start with that exact line. Jake looked down, then slowly. He walked to the couch and sat. He ran both hands over his face. Daniel and we were friends. Years ago, before I knew you. I stayed silent. He had this idea, he continued, voice heavier now, that he could win any girl. That no one was ever really loyal. We were drunk, stupid. He pointed you out one day at the cafe and said, bet I could steal her from you if I tried. My knees went weak. You knew me back then, I whispered. Jake nodded slowly. I never told you. Because the bet turned into something I didn't expect. You were real, you were kind. And I fell for you fast, but Daniel, he kept pushing, and when you chose him over me, I covered my mouth, he played me, because of a game you both started. Jake stood. No, I walked away. That night at the beach, I told him I was done. I left, you ended up with him. And I kept my distance, until I saw you again in that cafe weeks ago. Tears pricked my eyes, So all this, you coming back into my life, was it guilt? No, he said quietly, it was fate. But I didn't want to poison it with a past I thought was buried. I turned away, every part of me shaking. You were supposed to be the safe one. I am, Jake said, stepping closer. But I made a mistake, and I've hated myself for it ever since. The only thing that wasn't fake was how I felt about you. I faced him again, broken all over. I don't know what to believe anymore. Then let me prove it, he said softly. Not with words, with time. Stood there staring at him, this man who had become my refuge and my ruin. My heart wanted to leap into his arms, to believe that what we'd shared was bigger than a mistake made years ago. But my mind screamed caution. It reminded me of every moment I stood behind that door, holding a gift for someone who never deserved it. Of every whisper I wasn't meant to hear. Of every time I chose someone who chose secrets over me. I don't know if I can trust you again, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Jake didn't try to defend himself. He didn't reach for me, he just stood there. Pain carved into every line of his face. I understand, he said. I'll wait. I'll give you space, time, whatever you need. But I won't give up on you, not now. Not when I finally found you again. He stepped back, letting me pass if I wanted to leave. And I did. I left. Not with anger, not with a slam of the door. Just with the heavy silence of a girl trying to protect a heart that's been fooled too many times. I walked aimlessly for hours. Past the cafe where we first reconnected. Past the park bench where he kissed me like he meant it. Past the bookstore where betrayal first met me face to face. And eventually back home. When I stepped inside, there was a letter on the floor, slipped under the door. No name on it, just my favorite flower pressed between the folded paper, a yellow daisy. Jake once told me it meant new beginnings. I opened it with trembling hands. No lies, no secrets, just the truth you deserve. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Come if you still believe in second chances. It wasn't signed, but I didn't need it to be. I stared at the letter until the words blurred. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. One last choice. I didn't sleep much that night. My heart kept swinging between memories like a reckless pendulum. One moment, I was back in Jake's arms under the oak tree. The next, I was standing outside Daniel's apartment door, listening to my sister destroy me with a whisper. But by morning, I knew what I needed. Not revenge, not closure, truth. At 5:55 p.m., I stood outside the cafe where Jake and I had first met all those years ago. The same cafe I'd returned to shattered. Alone, just weeks ago, only to find him again. And there he was, sitting by the window, hands wrapped around a coffee cup, eyes on the door like he'd been waiting every day since I left. I walked in slowly. He stood when he saw me, but didn't rush. Didn't smile, just watched me, cautious but hopeful. I wasn't sure you'd come, he said. Neither was I replied, sitting down. There was silence at first, the kind that feels full, not empty. I let it sit between us before I reached into my bag and pulled out the photo. The one Alina had given me. I slid it across the table. I need the truth, I said. Every part of it, no edits, no protecting me. Jake stared at the photo for a long time before nodding. He took a breath, like he was about to dive into cold water. I was 21. Daniel and I were roommates in college. We partied, we played stupid games. He made a bet, said he could steal any girl I liked. Said love was fake and people were replaceable. I was drunk, I laughed, then I pointed to you. Said good luck with that one. My stomach turned. I didn't mean it, but he did. He watched you, waited, then came into the cafe one day. Flirting with you like it was all part of the plan. I should have warned you, but I told myself you wouldn't fall for it, that you'd see through him. Jake looked down, but you didn't. Tears stung my eyes. I trusted him. I know, and I hated myself for not stopping it. I left town, cut him off. I couldn't stand being around him after what he did to you. Or maybe after what I let happen. I stared at the table, my fingers tracing the coffee ring left by his cup. I thought you were the one person who didn't lie to me, I whispered. Jake reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, crumpled envelope. I wrote this 2 years ago, he said. Never sent it. I thought about it 100 times, but I didn't know if I had the right. I opened it slowly. It was handwritten. If you're reading this, it means I finally found the courage to tell the truth. I loved you before he even knew your name. And I lost you the moment I stayed silent. I'm sorry. If you can forgive me someday, I'll be waiting. I swallowed the lump in my throat. You should have told me, I said. I know, Jake said quietly, but I'm telling you now. I folded the letter and tucked it into my coat. And then I surprised myself. I smiled, because even after all the pain, this moment felt different. Not like a new wound, but like the first clean breath after surfacing from deep water. I don't need perfect, I said. But I need real. Can you be that? Jake reached across the table and took my hand. I've been nothing but real since the moment you walked back into my life. He stood, pulling me gently to my feet. Come on, he said, let's start over. No games, no lies, just you and me. We stepped outside into the golden glow of early evening. And just like that, the girl who once stood behind a door, heartbreaking in silence, now walked forward with someone who had finally learned how to hold her heart without hurting it.